is not about the firing of a prosecutor, as everyone else has been saying. It goes deeper and wider and includes two sitting U.S. senators, both of them Democrats. The real Biden-Ukraine corruption scandal is tonight's Swamp Watch. At the heart of this story is natural gas. Countries like Ukraine and Russia, they're totally dependent on their energy industries. In fact, Russia was once described as a gas station with nuclear weapons. Republicans for many years have argued that we in America should boost our own energy production, for example through fracking, to make us and the world less dependent on gas from unstable and somewhat unsavory regimes like Russia and Ukraine. Joe Biden totally disagrees. Here he was at a CNN climate town hall recently.
I've argued against any more oil drilling or gas drilling on federal lands, that we can and stop that.
Yeah, stop that. No more gas. Gas, really bad. It's funny then that just a few years ago, soon after President Obama made Biden his point person on Ukraine after Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea, Biden pushed Ukraine to boost natural gas production, even offering American tax dollars to help them do it. In early 2014, someone called Devon Archer, who was the longtime business partner of Joe Biden's son, Hunter, joined the board of Ukraine's largest gas company, Burisma. On April the 16th, 2014, Archer had a private meeting with Vice President Biden at the White House, late into the night, according to White House records. 2 days after their meeting, on April the 18th, Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board too. And 3 days after that, on April the 21st, Biden went to Ukraine with a promise of over $1 billion of U.S. taxpayer aid to the Ukrainian gas industry. Unbelievable coincidences, right? In case anyone thinks this is some crazy Fox News, Peter Schweizer, John Solomon conspiracy theory, let's just use the words of the Washington Post in a commendably pithy headline. As Vice President, Biden said Ukraine should increase gas production. Then his son got a job with a Ukrainian gas company. Of all the companies in all the countries in the world, Biden's son joined the board of the one company that would most benefit from his father's offer of billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer cash in the one country where his dad was acting like some kind of imperial consul whose word was basically law. Just a coincidence. And there's no Burisma. And Joe replied, I hope you know what you are doing. And then, look at this photo. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden and Devon Archer golfing together in August 2014. To be clear, that is the then Vice President golfing with two board members of Ukraine's largest gas company while he was presiding over billions of dollars of U.S. aid going to the Ukrainian gas industry. It's fine. Just a nice family outing. Burisma reportedly paid Hunter Biden over $50,000 a month, despite him having no experience in the Ukrainian energy sector or any energy sector. Democrats are fine with that. Here's Congressman Ted Lieu.
The underlying problem here was, of course, Hunter Biden receiving $50,000 a month from a Ukrainian energy company. Do you think that that is evidence of corrupt behavior?
No. People sit on boards and they get monetary payments.
Sounds to me like swampy Ted Lieu is preparing the ground for when he sits on boards and gets monetary payments after he leaves Congress and cashes in. But actually, 50 grand a month for Hunter Biden turned out to be great value for Burisma. The company was founded by a shady character called Mykola Zlochevsky, who abused his time in the Ukraine government to hand out gas licenses from which Burisma would end up profiting. By 2015, Zlochevsky found himself under investigation for abuse of power, embezzlement and other charges. He may even have faced justice if it weren't for Hunter Biden's Burisma board seat, signaling to Ukrainian prosecutors that Zlochevsky had the backing of the American vice president, who was calling the shots in Ukraine. Incredibly, Zlochevsky got off scot-free. But Hunter Biden's connections still had more to offer. Remember Devon Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner, also on the Burisma board? He had previously been the top fundraiser for, drumroll, John Kerry, who was Secretary of State at this time. Soon after Devon Archer and Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board, the company channeled $90,000 to a lobbying firm called ML Strategies, which was headed by, guess who? David Leiter, John Kerry's former chief of staff. Leiter personally lobbied in Washington on Burisma's behalf. That's handy because then Secretary of State John Kerry himself had visited Ukraine with promises of US aid and assistance. Also handy, connections with Democrat senators. Around that time, David Leiter gave close to $60,000 to Democrats, including Senators Jeanne Shaheen and Ed Markey. So, it's 90 grand from Hunter Biden's gas company to David Leiter, and then 60 grand from David Leiter to Democrat members of Congress. Neat. Those bribes, political contributions, really did the business for Burisma. Senators Markey and Shaheen, along with two other senators, wrote to President Obama in June 2014 asking that more US aid be directed towards Ukraine's energy industry, saying, quote, "We should leverage the full resources and expertise of the US government to assist Ukraine in improving its energy efficiency, increasing its domestic production and reforming its energy markets." And look at that. Between 2014 and 2016, the United States provided $3 billion in tax dollar-backed loan guarantees to Ukraine. Now, could we just go back to that letter signed by Senator Ed Markey? What's that line in there? Increasing its domestic production. Production of what? Wind power? Solar? Burning household waste? No, they're talking about increasing gas production. In hot water, they hire agencies known as crisis PR. Today, the establishment in Washington has corruption PR. Introducing Tapper, Todd and Wallace. Are you a politician who's taken bribes from foreign countries in exchange for policy favors? Let us take care of it with our unmatched expertise in denial, dissembling and distraction.
As President Trump continues to rail against, as far as the evidence shows, baseless claims of corruption.
And we don't know whether Mr. Trump's baseless charges about Joe Biden and Ukraine will make Biden a more sympathetic figure or tarnish him to the benefit of another Democratic candidate.
There is no veracity to any of these allegations about the Bidens.
The media is doing corruption PR for the Democrats. Tapper, Todd and Wallace. Corruption PR. Look, by all means, investigate President Trump. But for God's sake, Washington, how can you possibly ignore the facts and the evidence pointing not just to Joe and Hunter Biden's corruption, but Senator Ed Markey's corruption, Senator Jeanne Shaheen's corruption, John Kerry's corruption, all of this corruption over American cash for Ukraine gas. Swamp Watch is watching, and so are the American people. Share this, please. These facts need to be widely known. Follow us at Steve Hilton X and at NextRev FNC. Coming up.